weirdly a story that has become about race. It's
Otto Warmbier.
Yes, Otto Warmbier, the American student who was.
Hell, did this come out?
It's so
Well, this is interesting, and I mean, what's important here is that when the story first broke last year, it made the rounds on the comedy circuit, at least with Larry Wilmore making some jokes about this. It's hard to resist making jokes about a name like Warmbier. Which is kind of funny. It's a comical name. But a lot of the derision that was aimed at Otto was effectively, well, not just, well, you went to North Korea, that was stupid, bad things happened there. But more so, your white privilege doesn't extend to other countries. Hey, how is it to discover that when you go to other places and you do illegal things, you can sometimes get in trouble for them and your whiteness won't protect you? Those jokes...
They weren't jokes.
Those jokes and those serious thought pieces. Again, using the word serious, generous, serious in the sense that they meant it. Thought pieces that were written for the likes of, I believe, Slate and HuffPo, which... HuffPo, anyone can write
There was
anything.
one the other day of some website that was like 50, 60,000 followers that I'd never heard of. And Ebony published that one in 2000. You gone learn today, G-O-N', you gone learn today on the revocation of white privilege in North Korea under a picture of Otto Warmbier. There's a couple of things that deserve to be said here. Everyone, this fucking pisses me off more than anything. John McCain said the other day that Otto Warmbier was murdered by the North Koreans. Every headline that I've seen, I've collected them, have murdered in quotation marks. Because they're quoting him. We're not saying it, he did. Otto Warmbier was murdered by North Koreans. That's indisputable fact. He didn't, get a bug when he was in North Korea. According to the doctors, this happens in very specific circumstances, and he was a healthy kid otherwise. And he's also been detained in North Korea. I don't know. We don't want to forget this.
15 years.
15 years. And so here is the problem with it. When everyone's talking about this, drives me goddamn nuts, is that everyone's at 15 years. Well, it's a little excessive for what he did.
Are you kidding?
What did he do? This is the thing that everyone's missing. This is, his white privilege. He was going to go there, get drunk, be a frat boy. He's been stereotyped as a frat boy. What did he do? Well, he stole a propaganda poster. I saw one today, an equally asinine thing about his white privilege. He stole a flag. It's become a flag now. There is no evidence that he did anything at all. We are taking the word of the North Korean government. The only person that was with him at that time was Otto Warmbier. His roommate said he'd never had a poster with him. He never talked about a poster. He was a very quiet, very reserved guy. It was a heavy drinking trip. He wasn't one of those people. And he was just like a nice kid. The entire time, he never said anything about a poster.
Wow.
Nothing. Yeah. So we are doing all of this, and all these fucking sizzling hot takes are based on what the North Koreans have said when they got a bargaining chip whom they probably beat to death, or they probably tortured to death, or gave him drugs and stopped his organs. God knows what they did.
Yeah.
They're a monstrous regime full of monstrous people, and it's the biggest open-air prison on the planet. Yet, all of these people who are jerking off in their hot takes about white privilege are doing this based on an account from the filthy North Korean criminal family that runs it, of the Kim regime. They are trusting them on this. There is no evidence that Otto Warmbier did anything wrong. You're looking for rationality and logic in the diseased minds of the Juche philosophy of the North Korean regime. There might have been a good time right then to get a bargaining chip. Dennis Rodman goes over, the guy comes home. We don't know what happened. We don't know how Otto Warmbier was murdered by the North Korean regime, but he was murdered by the North Korean regime. And it is profanity to say in these stupid hot takes of these people sitting in Manhattan, sitting in San Francisco, sitting behind their computers, getting paid way too much for whatever stupidities they're producing every day, to say that, oh, he thought he was going to be privileged. Do you know this kid, motherfucker? No, you don't. How do you know that he had privilege? How do you know that he was a frat boy? How do you know that he stole a poster? You don't. And you're going to write this shit? No. You're going to put McCain's murder in quotes? You should maybe make sure to say in every piece that the only crime that we think that he committed, no one saw, and we were told by the North Koreans.
Yeah, they did release a grainy video, and I suppose he comped to it on video as well, but to the extent...
I mean, in a show trial.
Yeah, exactly.
As did John McCain to the North.
No, precisely right. Well, it's worth noting, not that it is any defense, that many of the awful sentiments that were written when he was first captured, and had just been convicted and given 15 years
in a 1 hour trial.
In a 1 hour trial. Oh my God!
This is a defense.
No. I'm saying that they at least didn't write it when he was coming back to the country in a coma.
Yeah.
Or immediately after his death, and most of those pieces have disappeared from the interwebs. But the fact remains that it should have never been written.
Fact,
Josh Rogan, who wrote that story, tweeted, Otto Warmbier was an innocent kid tortured by an evil regime. Read my interview with his North Korean roommate, to which Affinity Magazine, which is apparently written by young people, has 50, 60,000 followers, when a blue check mark responded, watch whiteness work. He wasn't a, quote, kid or, quote, innocent. You can't go to another country and try to steal from them. Respect their laws. Now imagine if we did that.
Respect their laws.
There hasn't been a country that I've gone to where I haven't fucking broken the law. And especially if it's a totalitarian country.
Young people traveling. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
respect didn't break the law in fucking Cuba. Of course I broke the law in Cuba.
Imagine she said that.
And everybody else.
She should say that about Michael Brown, and Michael Brown stealing something from a bodega, and then saying, you can't. He wasn't a kid. He wasn't innocent. You can't steal from them. Respect the law. Imagine if you applied that the other direction. But that first 3-word sentence, watch whiteness work, shows the absolute intellectual bankruptcy of these fucking morons. I'm sorry, but this gets me more irritated than anything else. That doesn't mean anything. Watch whiteness work does not mean anything. That is an instinct that people have. That is now a reflex instead of an argument. We have replaced argument with phraseology. This phrases of like whiteness, white tears. What are some of the other ones? Give me some of the other ones, Camille. I hear them all the time.
I mean, racism is the ultimate one, but it's interesting to the extent these things have entered into the lexicon and they have obtained more common use amongst lay people.
But a lexicon is a dictionary, more or less. They're not. This is not like This isn't a lexicon issue anymore. This is now argument is being replaced by rote phrases.
Well, it is, but what I'm getting at is
what the fuck does that mean?
The phrases have been robbed of any sort of meaning.
Yeah.
Like it's not clear what people mean when they refer to racism or white supremacy in most cases. It is some sort of generic force that is just malevolently hanging over everything. And it is an accusation that can be hurled at anything that you don't like.
Otto Warmbier, watch whiteness work. A guy that was brutally murdered. His life ended at 21 years old. His parents have to take a kid in a vegetative state who's been murdered by Stalinists and then have to see this fucking shit. Unbelievable.